I'm curious, what made you think and believe that you could be one of the 17 people making decisions for, legislative decisions for 1.5 million Philadelphians?
Yeah, these stories are so inspiring. Mine is just a little different. Rep. McClinton talked about, the worst thing that happened when you lose is you just didn't get enough votes. She's right? I've lost twice, and at the end of the day, every time I lost, I felt like I won at the end of the race. I take a lot of pride in New Leaders Council because New Leaders Council was the fellowship initiative that I went through that basically told me that I was going to lose before Election Day the first time I ran, right? Because I was learning everything I should have done prior to the race, right? So it's like every workshop, every weekend, once a month, I'm coming back with notes that's telling me, oh man, I'm going to lose this race because I haven't done this at all. So that part for me was, I like to call myself a theoretical practitioner through that whole process. But in 2011, when I lost that race, I also knew I was going to run again on Election Day. And that for me was really my perseverance and my willingness to just learn what I didn't know and try to apply those things as it related to the next couple years and trying to build a quality campaign. I think the reason that I felt like I could be one of the 17 was because the times I ran before, I felt like I had produced a better race every time. And after I lost in 2015, in my mind, I actually wasn't going to run again. In my mind, I felt like I was really done. And I ended up getting government experience. And I think what ended up happening was, even though the race in 2019 was so crowded, it wasn't as competitive, right? So if you know about campaigns, for me, because I had so much experience at that point running so many times, as well as volunteering in other races, what we seen with the 2019 race was, number one, you had vacancies, right? So when there's a vacancy, that always opens up opportunities similar to some of the narratives that you heard up here. That's a little different. But then also, I don't think a lot of people noticed, the 2015 race produced about 7 people who raised over $150,000 in loss, right? So I was one of the, maybe not 7, maybe 5. It was 5 people that raised over $150,000 that lost, and it was a 6th person who didn't raise that much but had great ballot position and lost. So when I looked at 2019, while there were more people running, the race wasn't as competitive because there wasn't enough money, right? Anybody who knows anything about running for office, is one thing to have the inspiration and the will, right? That is great, but it's into the ability to govern. All of those things are great, but it requires a little bit more than that, and part of it is money, and honestly, I'm always gonna say a part of it is luck too. I think being at the right place at the right time with the right support and the right people, that's a part of it as well too, and sometimes the chips fall your way and sometimes it don't, and I think in 2019, I was lucky enough for the chips to kind of fall my way that time based on some track record work that I had done prior to it. But, again, the opportunity was there, and I think people courted me to run. And that was really the first time, right? Like 2011, that was me. I want to make a difference. 2015, I lost in 2011. I'm going to do better this time. 2019 was more people telling me, this is your time. And I think that's different, and that also resonates with some of the stories that was told prior to mine.